But anyways, thank you for tuning in. I just had to get that little PSA in there because, sometimes it really is selfish to just hog a table like that. But don't worry, I'm not going to get too preachy on the microphone. I'm not Chance the Rapper. So that's all I had to say about that. But no, for real, on today's episode, I was going to talk about the qualities that make a good artist. But, I have gotten a few messages questioning if I talk about anything else except music, if I have any other interests. And the short answer is yes, I do. And I will. And as you can tell by the title, I am going to talk about something other than music. But the longer answer is yes, I have other interests I want to talk about, but I tread into ignorance so easily that I'm kind of weary, but fuck it. We ball, so let's get into it. So today, let's just skip all the what makes a great artist, what makes good music, and just get into some insights and get ready to go back to school. Yo, can I say, though, that I am going to tell you what music I'm listening to currently so we can keep, some musical theme throughout this podcast. And let's see. Right now, I am listening to a lot of Amy Winehouse. I'm a big fan of Amy Winehouse. For some reason, I've just been listening to Frank a lot this summer. Probably my favorite album by her, which isn't to say Back to Black isn't good because it's a masterpiece. But Frank is the album I prefer. I've also been listening to a lot of Black Flag, just because I've been getting into, rock music more recently, just to open up my eyes to it. And I'm really feeling Slip It In, probably my favorite album by them so far. But, I'm still just getting into it, so I have a lot to learn. And, I'm listening to a lot of other singles and, offshoot songs here and there. But those are like the artists I'm really listening to, or I've listened to for the past week. And yeah, those will be in the podcast playlist, so check that out. Link in description now. Also in my Instagram bio at Xavier, Xaviehur. But listen up. I don't know how old you are, what your current situation is, but based on my own demographic, I'm willing to bet that you are around 16 to 20, heading into school. And even more likely, you're heading into your first or second year of college. And to that, I want to say congrats. You made it this far without majorly fucking up. So, unless going to college wasn't your goal, in which case you fucked up severely. But if this was your intended path, you did it. So congrats. And at this point, if you stay focused and on top of your shit, you'll be okay. Or at least that's what they tell me. I'm on this journey with you. But because Lord knows, I am no expert on college. I made a handful of mistakes, 2 handfuls probably, but nonetheless, I'm still here. So with those credentials under my belt, I decided to let you in on some things I learned from the sliver of experience I've had in school. There's bound to be other things I'll learn, and who knows, some of those things might change in the future. But right now, these are the things that I have learned and I'm willing to share with you. So number 1, gaining weight is an inevitability. And I remember when I first came home from college for the first time, and my mom told me I looked 10 pounds heavier, and she was absolutely right. And 10 pounds was honestly probably a blessing because if I didn't care about staying in shape, it would probably be something like 30 because, I try to work out regularly. But, gaining weight happens no matter who you are. And the problem is, most people just don't adjust to their lifestyle at college. So you can, keep drinking or whatever you do, keep eating. But, as long as you stay on top of it and get in the cardio or the workouts necessary, you can still maintain that lifestyle, especially at this age, because your metabolism, your body's, working so efficiently. But, yeah, that's the hard part. So if you can invest in a scale and check your weight every once in a while, preferably, I heard every day really helps you stay on top of it. But, I know that's hard. But, if you can do that, then you can, float at around a weight that you're okay with. Let's see. Especially if you're not, getting it in, then you probably want to go on a run or a jog to get your cardio because you got to do something in college, man. Like the way you're living in college is just so much more intense on your body that, you got to adjust to it. So, unless you just don't give a fuck or you want to put on weight, then get ready for the time of your life. But yeah, number 1, gaining weight is inevitable, but losing weight is not. So stay on top of that. Okay, number 2, something I heard a lot but regrettably, I didn't always follow through with it. But it was to not spend so much time in your room. But in my defense, I was in school during the 2016 election and didn't feel like putting up with a lot of shit. So, but at this point, if you're somewhat accustomed to living in this parody of a country that we have now, then get out there, yo. Because at this point, nothing people say can and should surprise you. I mean, at this point, this is just like a comedy we're living in, so just embrace it. But yeah, whether you're doing homework, watching TV, listening to music, or like reading, whatever you do behind closed doors that isn't completely sick and twisted, you don't have to do it locked up away from society, you know? So get out there and make friends with the people that live next to you, because it really does make college, a lot better. I got really lucky because I was situated living next to like a group of guys that were great and got along very well. So, I know that doesn't happen to everyone, but just try to make an effort, because it really does make life a lot better and a lot easier when you have a family away from home. Number 3, whether you have a major or not, always have some complete bullshit in the back of your pocket to say when people ask you what you're majoring in. It will save you so much time, and it will get the older people off your back who always give that speech that you've probably heard 1,000 times about how you don't need to know exactly what you want to do yet. And whether you agree with that sentiment or not, you're probably sick of hearing it, so just lie. But that isn't to say, not to think about what you eventually want to do, because you do want to think about it. But yeah, it's all right not to know. Just think of some bullshit to say on the fly. And believe it or not, most people end up changing their major. So everyone that says they're going to be a doctor now will probably not be one. But who knows? Just have something to say. Number 4. Fellas, this is specifically for the guys. If you do not know anyone at the party that you're trying to attend, and you don't mind burning a bridge with a complete stranger, then your best bet is to sneak in. So from my experience, people are very stubborn about who they let in. And when you get to frat parties, they usually have so much money that they don't give a fuck about what coin you have to offer. So your best bet is to throw caution to the wind, risk it all, and try to get in. How valuable this advice is depends entirely on how much you value your reputation on your campus. You can usually get into a really big party without someone noticing your face, but if it's something small, like some mixer or social type thing, then you're gonna get fucked up. At the worst, you'll probably get in a fight. At the best, you'll be asked to leave and they just won't like you. This goes for every kind of party. Lord knows I've been kicked out of my fair share of parties, but that is college culture, or at least party schools. People really value those things. But it really varies from place to place, I guess, though, because, if you go to a black frat, they'll probably charge you because, we want that coin. But reason with these people is not an option when liquor and women are involved. So at parties, just try to get in. Try to weasel your way in there. But if you have connects with homeowners, or, you're in some type of club or something like that, then, house parties and frat parties aren't your only option. You can probably get in somewhere else. But yeah, just do something. There's bound to be something to do in college on the weekends. Number 5. If you like being belligerent, then I recommend you invest in your party favors, quote unquote, early on. It's good to know your limits early, though, something I wish I did. But we won't get into complete details on the microphone. All I'm saying is invest wisely. Keep stock of what you're doing, what you're consuming, what you have on hand. And make sure you don't run up a check too much, because, money can go really easily to that stuff. And also, just watch how much you consume so you don't end up in any kind of office or hospital. So, yeah. Also, I will say, just because you see a unattended cup full of something and you're just trying to get, turned or fucked up, don't take it. Always keep track of what you're ingesting. I know you probably hear that a lot on like those courses they make you take on party etiquette and drinking and all that shit. But that really is valuable advice. Don't get your drinks mixed up. Don't leave them unattended, and don't drink random stuff, because that is a fast ticket to the ER. Oh yeah, and how could I forget? Never take advantage of someone who is clearly too intoxicated to consent. I could probably do a whole podcast on the nuances of all that stuff, but I'm just gonna give it to you straight, cut and dry. Uh, don't take advantage of people, but have fun. Everyone have fun. That's all I'm asking. Number 6. Even if you have no idea where you're going or if you have nowhere to be, get out the crib. Because if your college is big enough and if it's hype, there's bound to be something to do. There's bound to be people to meet or just, a place to be on the weekend. So just don't stay in your room too much if you don't want to be there. Like, just get out, even if it's nowhere that you have in mind. Being friendly will open a lot of doors to you. So, just don't be an asshole. Don't be a dick for no reason. Yeah, that's really it. Just really get out there. That's probably going to be a common theme through all of these points. I'm just telling you to get out there. But yeah, if you have no plan, who cares? There is probably something out there waiting for you. Number 7, and probably my personal favorite that I had to learn the hard way, know when to cut your losses. Taking an L is never easy, but if you're anything like me, you will eventually get used to it. And as long as you get some dubs along the way, there's nothing wrong with racking up a few L's here and there. But really, just know when to call it quits and walk away from some shit before you're in too deep. You will be very happy you did, and you will thank yourself. And this advice can apply to everything. This goes for fights, relationships, classes, etc. We all take L's. Brad Pitt divorced Angelina Jolie, and she's one of the finest white women ever. So if Brad Pitt, one of the best looking, most talented men on earth, takes L's, then you sure can too, buddy. We all can. So no matter how you look, what you smell like, what you do, how you act, what you think, it's inevitable. You're going to take an L. But take it with grace and know when to walk away. And now we have number 8. For this one, all I want to say is brush your motherfucking teeth. It's so easy, and too many people slip on this in college. I know your bed feels really comfy at night, but get up, go to the bathroom, and brush your teeth and tongue. Especially, in college, drinking and all that dehydration is really bad for your breath and your enamel. So do yourself and all of us around you a favor and wash those pearly whites. Listerine mouthwash is good too. And do not forget to floss. I can do better on that myself. I promise that I will floss better this upcoming year. So yes, please just have good oral and just overall hygiene. Don't slack on that. Number 9. Disclaimer, this tip might sound a little lame as fuck, so I'm just putting that warning out there, but it really does help. It helps with everything, and it made my experience so much easier, and trust me, I needed all the help I could get. So really, just go to class. Going to class makes everything a lot less stressful, and if you're like me and you retain knowledge, but you are not necessarily the most studious person, then going to class will help you exponentially. The teacher sees your face and you're on top of all your shit, so it's a win-win. Unless you're in the middle of something extremely hype and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, in which case it's okay to miss a class or two. But if you're just chilling, go to class. Also, check those grades and assignments online. I will personally be the one to tell you that I did very bad on checking my credentials online, and it did not help me whatsoever. So just keep on top of that. And if you can, a lot of systems have something where you can hook up your cell phone number to your online assignments and grades, and it can just give you notifications of when everything is posted and graded. So look into that, please, for your sake. And finally, number 10. There's a lot of things I could just keep on listing that I want to help you with your, college experience, but I'm going to keep it short and just end it right here. The last thing I have to say on this whole topic is do not be afraid or embarrassed to try every single thing that catches your eye. I mean, even if it looks mildly interesting, just try everything that you want to. I mean, fuck it, right? You're an adult now. And I mean, you're going to get made fun of and by someone or something. It's inevitable. So you just got to Forget all of that. Don't worry about being judged and just try everything that you're interested in. Now is the time, and especially if you're not decided on what you want to do with your life career wise, then just trying so many different things will just help you with that. And, don't be afraid to quit something. Like, don't be afraid to quit some shit if it's not for you, because I'll also be the first one to admit that I had to try everything. And I mean everything in college to really find out just who I am. And I did quit, a lot of those things because it just wasn't me. But really congratulate yourself for making it this far. Don't worry if you feel directionless or any of that other shit, because we all do at times. So try everything, even if you think you already know yourself, because there's always more to discover. I mean, knowing who you don't want to be is really just as, if not more important, than knowing who you want to be. And that's what they don't tell you in college. So just keep that in mind and do everything that you're interested in. Whew. So now that the sappy after school special shit is out of the way, can we talk about something related to music for a little bit, please? Thank you. So what I was going to originally start off with was going to be kind of a halfway review of the new A$AP Ferg mixtape, Still Striving. And I do have a lot to say about it. If you're on the fence about, copping it, or if you have streaming and you just haven't streamed it yet, then I highly recommend you do that. But, it's far from A$AP Ferg's best piece of work. My personal favorite piece of work is A$AP Ferg's most critically acclaimed, but it is Trap Lord. I mean, I just really fell in love with, the cavernous, just echoing beats, the rough, more thuggish lyrics when you compare it to A$AP Rocky. I mean, I love that Bone Thugs feature. And I just love the catchy creativity of the song, the themes, like Shabba, Work, and Hood Pope. And it was just so New York. It was just so East Coast. And it was so unapologetic about it. Because really, when you listen to a lot of, A$AP Rocky, you sometimes forget. You really forget that A$AP Mob is a New York-based group. But when you listen to Ferg and 12E and, A$AP Mob as a whole, I mean, it's hard to forget that they're New York-based. And I mean, Murder Something, I love that song with Waka Flocka. I mean, that's still on some of my playlists for my workouts today. The album wasn't too long. A$AP Yams was on there. I mean, when he was still alive, I just love hearing his voice. And just the ad-libs, A$AP Ferg's ad-libs, and they still get me hyped. But hearing them for the first time on Trap Lord, I mean, man, you just cannot recreate that experience. It is a great album, honestly. And then, he had Ferg Forever, which, I mean, it is partially my fault that I didn't listen to it enough, but it just seemed more forgettable to me, albeit he really didn't dip in quality. It just wasn't nearly as memorable. But, I mean, as much as to be expected, from a mixtape, it's not an album. But then he followed, his first album up with Always Strive and Prosper, which I liked. I know a lot of fans weren't so receptive of that album, but I really did enjoy it. Thematically it was consistent. I liked the song Psycho. I thought it was a nice dedication to his uncle. I liked Let It Bang, and I like how Schoolboy Q broke up some of the monotony. Beautiful People was also an alright song, but it was just kind of jarring with the rest of the lineup. But I'm not too hard on keeping up the consistency, because after one listen, I do listen to albums on shuffle, so it really doesn't matter to me. But I really didn't like a lot of the beats, a lot of the EDM style beats and the hooks. I mean, Hungry Ham, that hook is so annoying to me. There were a couple lines I thought were kind of weird, like "we catching meat." I didn't like the Strive hook, and I really did not like Lil Uzi on that album. Even though I am a fan of Uzi, I just didn't really like him on that album. The Big Sean hook was kind of weird, and yeah, I mean, it wasn't as good as Trap Lord, but it wasn't that bad for me. I still valued it in his discog. But that leads us to Still Striving, which is his second mixtape, even though it's being treated like an album because it's on Apple Music. It is, technically his mixtape. And I do enjoy it. I mean, it's really feature heavy. Almost every song has a feature on there. It's more of a, for me, it's more of a return to form than Always Striving or Always Strive and Prosper. It's darker like Trap Lord was, and to me, he does a lot better on his hooks than he did on Always Strive. there's been a lot of criticism because he is adopting, the flows of everyone that is featured on these songs, but he doesn't do a bad job of adopting the flows, I mean, and he has some funny lines, get on your knees, pray for the dick, blah, blah, blah. Or that was Playboy Cardi, my bad. There are some funny lines in the mixtape, but I mean, it's a little better to me, honestly. I like Takeoff's flow on the mixtape. I like Quavo on the beat. I like the back and forth Rocky and ASAP Ferg had. And it was just, it was fun. It was a really fun listen. It was nice to see ASAP Ferg, go back to some more trap style and, kind of get away from the EDM. Skrillex isn't on this one like Always Strive. And who can forget the Busta Rhymes feature on the East Coast remix. And, Ferg is still experimenting with his flows, which I did enjoy. But I did think it was kind of, more conforming lyrically than his last album. And surprisingly, I actually did like Lil Yachty's verse on Oh Yeah, but it was underwritten. It ended out of nowhere. And I did enjoy, or I thought it was tolerable hearing Nav on the hook. There's obviously an obligatory Aaliyah shout out, which I'm kind of sick of hearing, but we'll probably always get those in hip hop because that's hip hop culture. And then there were some lines I thought were questionable, like put him in a Jersey Shore, like Pauly D. I didn't like the hook on Nasty. And I just really feel no way about Famous Dex at this point. Famous Dex is on the song Coach Cartier. And, I just don't have anything to say about Famous Dex. He just gets lost in the masses, lost in the crowd of all these rappers. To me, he doesn't stand out like some of these other ones do. Made in Tokyo is okay, but, I mean, he's also underwritten on his verse. But what can you really expect from Made in Tokyo? He seems like he's more of a song maker than a rapper. Let's see. I didn't really like how French Montana was used on East Coast Remix because I thought it was kind of a waste of a feature, and he could have gotten someone else on there because a lot of the artists on that song aren't even from the East Coast. I mean, Snoop Dogg is on there, so the album isn't perfect or even up to par with Trap Lord, but I still did enjoy it. I mean, if I had to rate it on a scale of 10, I would just give it like a 7, and if I had to be even more precise, I'd probably give it like a 7.1 or maybe 7.2, which might be higher than everyone else is giving it, but I like how he is returning more to form, so I do have to give him props for that. And I did enjoy listening to it. I didn't fall asleep or get bored from it. The only time I felt actually bored and, had no opinion was when Famous Dex was rapping. And, maybe I should get more into Famous Dex. I just need to, listen to him more, but I just haven't found anything appealing about him to me. But, yeah, I mean, check out Still Striving. It's on Apple Music, and I think, I don't know if it's on iTunes, but if it is, cop it. We don't have Apple Music. So Still Striving gets a solid 7 out of me. So let's make a system. Like 7 plugs, shameless plug. It gets 7 out of 10 plugs. How's that sound? But yeah, there's a lot of music coming out these days. Project Baby 2, Kodak Black came out. I didn't really have time to talk about that on here, but that's the thing I wanted to tell you guys. If you do have music that you prefer me to talk about, if you're listening, don't be afraid to just message me on Twitter, Instagram at XavierHer, XAVIEHUR, or just email me at shamelessplugmedia@gmail.com and tell me what you want to hear me talk about. It doesn't even have to be about music like the first half of this episode was. If you want to hear me talk about anything, if you want to hear me discuss any topic, just email me and hit me up on there. Don't be afraid to do that. But, there is a lot of music coming out soon. And so if no one, has any specific requests, I'm just going to talk about and maybe review what I'm interested in. And I will say that these reviews aren't so formal because, this is a podcast. I think YouTube is a better format for reviews. So if I do, get more into reviewing, I will probably put those up on YouTube. But we got to see how these things take off. But yeah, I just want to thank you all for coming back, for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I'm no expert on college and all that stuff. I was just giving you some tips from my experience. So, you can use them if you want. Don't use them. I don't really care. Fuck it. Do what you want. But those are the things that I learned. and I'm still learning, so we might have to do some updates to this episode. I might have to make a couple more lists because there's always more to learn out there. No, none of us know everything, even though we like to act like it sometimes. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that, people are listening to this, even if it might not be a ton of people. We're still growing. We're still having a good time. So yeah, email me, hit me up, message me anywhere. Check out the podcast and the playlist, and just please have a good day. And please share the podcast if you enjoyed it. And please be easy. Quit stressing. We're going back to school. Enjoy it. Have a good time. And I will catch you next time. Peace.